Marcus thinks I don't notice the small things. But in a wife-led marriage, the small things are actually the foundation. 2 days ago, I asked Marcus to handle the grocery list. Simple. A routine task he's done 100 times. He didn't say no. He didn't even argue. He just forgot. Then he forgot to take the bins out. Then he lost track of time and missed our evening check-in by 15 minutes. It wasn't a rebellion. It was a drift. A quiet, passive resistance. He's testing the tension of my lead, seeing if I'm still holding the other end. Oh, I am. Marcus, sit down. We need to talk about the difference between being busy and being careless. Most people see a missed chore, and I see a mistake. I see a shift in alignment. When Marcus starts forgetting, he's not losing his memory. He's reclaiming a tiny bit of territory. It's a subtle way of saying, my schedule is more important than your structure. I let the silence sit between us for a full minute before I spoke. Silence is very instructional. It forces Marcus to sit with his own choices. I watched him shift slightly in his chair. Marcus started to open his mouth to apologize, to give me one of those casual excuses, and I just lifted one finger. He stopped. Immediately. That's how I knew he wasn't gone yet. He still understands my authority. He's just trying to see if it's optional today. Marcus, I said softly, do you feel overwhelmed? He hesitated. A little. And when you feel overwhelmed, do you feel you have the right to ignore the structure we agreed upon? The room went cold. That's the core of it. Our marriage isn't a hobby. It's an intentional design. If Marcus only follows my lead when it's convenient or when he's in the mood, then I'm not leading. I'm just suggesting. And I don't give suggestions. He tried to explain the work project that's been on his mind. I listened. I didn't interrupt. But when he finished, I reminded him. Work is what you do for a living. This marriage is how you live. Consistency isn't a sprint, Marcus. It's a lifestyle. To bring him back into alignment, I didn't take away his phone or yell. I tightened the frame. For the next 7 days, every task Marcus completes must be reported to me the moment it's done. No end-of-the-day summaries. I want the immediate feedback of his compliance. I saw his jaw tighten. Not in anger, but in the realization that his quiet drift just resulted in a much shorter leash. He needs to feel the weight of my lead again. He thrives when he knows exactly where the boundaries are. When he's left to wander, he gets anxious. This correction isn't a punishment. It's alignment. It's me giving him the stability he actually craves. By the end of the conversation, his shoulders had dropped. The tension was gone. He didn't need an excuse. He needed a boundary. But here's the part that surprised me. About 20 minutes later, I walked past the kitchen and noticed Marcus standing there, staring at the sink. The dishes were still there. He saw me, looked at the sink, and then back at him. You could almost hear the debate happening in his head. Maybe she'll let it slide. It was just a second, a tiny moment. But relationships are built on tiny moments. I didn't sigh. I didn't lecture. I didn't raise my voice. I simply looked at the dishes and said, Marcus, what did we agree to? For a split second, he looked annoyed. The old habit kicked in. They're just dishes. Now, that sentence wasn't really about dishes, was it? It was a test. Not a grand rebellion, not some dramatic power struggle. Just a quiet little check to see if the standard had changed. And here's where so many people make the mistake. They think, it's late, I'm tired, I'll deal with it tomorrow. But tomorrow, it's the dishes. Next week, it's the errands. Then it's forgotten commitments and broken routines. Before long, resentment has moved into the house and unpacked its bags. So I didn't argue. I don't negotiate. I smiled and said, "They're still your responsibility." Silence. A few seconds passed that felt much longer. Then Marcus laughed, shook his head, rolled up his sleeves, and got to work. Something changed in that moment. The resistance disappeared because the uncertainty disappeared. The expectation was clear, and so was the outcome. Now he's back in the kitchen, finishing the dishes he forgot earlier. He's humming. The structure is restored. And believe it or not, he feels better already. If you're navigating a female-led relationship, remember this. Don't ignore the small lapses. They're rarely about the task itself. They're the seeds of larger issues, and how you handle them shapes the trust, stability, and rhythm of your dynamic. Have you ever noticed one of these little drifts before it turned into a bigger problem? Let me know in the comments. I read every one. And if you're enjoying these conversations and want to help us reach 10,000 subscribers, hit that subscribe button and join the journey. You never know which small lesson today might save a much bigger problem tomorrow.